For all who comes to this goofy place, welcome.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode here on the Goofy Scoop podcast. Gray and I here, of course, to talk to you guys about certain Disney topics and, of course, talk to each other. Today, we are going to talk about our first week experience at the Disney College program. I know we talked a little bit about our arrival story on our very first episode, but now we're not rookies anymore when it comes to this podcast. I feel comfortable saying that now. So I think it's time to bring the Disney College program topic up again. And we're going to talk about the first week with the Disney University classes and then also with traditions and my very, very last class that I had to do at Disney University. I actually had to meet at my park, Disney's Hollywood Studios, and it was called On with the Show. And then Gray, you had a class. I don't know what it was called though. So please inform me.
Yeah, I want to say it was called Boardwalk 101, but I don't know for sure. It was simple. It was like, welcome to the boardwalk. Might have been called that. And we just did like a tour and like intro stuff around the resort. So yeah.
Yeah. And I was super confused when it was On with the Show because I was just like, what is this? Because I was so confused at first, like reading that schedule. And it was like this class, this class, this class. And then it was like On with the Show. I'm like, what is this? What is On with the Show?
They try to trick you on purpose.
You think so?
I don't know. I think they try to make it fun. I don't think it's trickery. No, I don't think it's trickery. I think they try to make it fun and they're like, oh, this is like a fun date. Like instead of like how to greet people, how to greet guests, it's like how to stay in character or something like it like just fits the Disney like theme type of thing.
Yeah. And I will admit Disney does make it fun and they do entertain you while also teaching you how to do your job for the short time that you're there. For no matter if you're ICP or DCP. I mean, ICPs are usually there for like 3 to 6 months, and we can be there for for North Americans, for United States citizens, it's 6 months minimum. And I think it's what, like 10 or 11 months if you extend. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say you pretty much extended.
I didn't get
up
to finish.
To a year. Yeah, thanks, Kevin. Yeah, you pretty much. I think you pretty much extended up to a year, minus like 1 month or something like at the end. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like 2 or 3 months. I would have missed making it a year.
Yeah, but I mean, it makes sense. But talking about that first week, so we talked about in our very first episode, I moved in on a Monday. Jeff actually was there the week before me, so he went through a lot of this before me, but I just wanted to jump in and talk about it. So my first week, moved in on a Monday, and nothing really happened until Wednesday night, at the Commons, I think, is where they had like our welcome party, our first, my first welcome party. There was some welcome parties after that, but I guess for my group that came in, our first welcome party. And then I had my first class on Friday, which was traditions. And fun fact, you're not even allowed into the parks. Like, you're not really officially a cast member until after.
Sucks.
You go through traditions. Yeah, it does stink. So like you have the entire week of not really doing that much before you like become a cast member, and then it's like hit the ground running, go. You're busy every single day.
Which that first week, it sounds brutal not having anything to do because you're just like Disney World's down the street and I can't go and there's nothing to do. But honestly, I think the reason why they do that is it almost forces you to become friends and to get to know each other. And then it also gives you several days to kind of like wind down and get in a rhythm, and then also just get all your groceries and everything too. Cause I remember I felt like I needed to hit the ground running, but then there's just like, all right, honestly, like by the time that I have all this within the next couple of days, I feel settled and I feel ready to take this head on. And by the time you're ready to take it head on, you're taking those classes, which starts with traditions, which I loved.
And I think that's the thing though, is like you really need that. Like you don't think you need that week. Like you really need that week because you need to know where the grocery store is. You need to know the best place to get gas. You need to know like what people do when they're not working, when they're not at Disney World. Like you become a citizen of that central like Florida, Orlando area. Even though you're like you're inside the Disney bubble and you don't really have to leave the Disney bubble, you have to figure out what's going on in a normal life outside of the parks, because if not, you're going to get burnt out very, very quickly.
Mm-hmm. And I do feel for people that had to take the buses, because the buses were very limited on where they could go. So once again, like you can take your own car, please take your own car. Like it's just going to save you so much pain and like boredom.
Trying to schedule like going places is rough. I mean, you can always Uber, but that gets expensive and
super expensive in
before.
Orlando.
You don't get paid very
expensive.
much in the college program, so it is rough. But I think that first week, I agree with you, was very exciting and very interesting. So I moved in on a Monday. Tuesday, probably went to the grocery store, went to Walmart, got some stuff, whatever I needed, because I didn't bring like food and stuff down with me, obviously. And then Wednesday, I probably woke up late and like just kind of hung out at my apartment and got ready for the welcome party that evening that I probably started at like 4 or 5. To be completely honest, the sun went down at the welcome party. So it started in the evening time at some point. But the welcome party is originally where I met the 3 girls that we hang out with all the time. Because Jeff, I met you originally. So Jeff's a roommate, AJ, which we have talked to or will talk to on the podcast.
Multiple times.
Is my best friend, and he worked there, so I knew him before. So I went over to his apartment. Jeff was his roommate. So I'd met Jeff before in passing. We didn't really come close until events that came later. But then that welcome party, AJ had already met some like those 3 girls somewhere, or like at the welcome. I don't know. You guys came together to that party with some of your other roommates. And then I walked over from Patterson. And so I like met up with you guys, and AJ had already started talking to Lauren, Kylie, and Miranda.
Yep. I was about to say, because before I actually talk about that party, because that party was probably the most memorable. And it like for me, it was most memorable in a bad way, because I was honestly in a bad mood. But before I get started with that, or going more in depth with that first week for me, since I got there a week earlier than you, I basically did the same thing, just a week earlier. Yeah. Like I arrived. Yeah. I was like, okay, store, Walgreens, Walmart. Okay, where's all this stuff? Like Lake Buena Vista, I got to figure you out. Now with the new housing, I don't even know where they're located. I really don't even care, because I'm not sure. I'm not jealous of Flamingo Crossing. I mean, it's nice, but I really, call me weird, I really liked the setup of the 4 different buildings. I really did. Maybe I'm just weird. But
the only thing that I didn't like, as far as you and AJ at least, Vista was so far away. Like it was like, okay, it was like 2 miles, maybe, but like compared to, I
don't even think it was 2 miles, but it felt like a very long
I don't know.
distance.
It was like you had to cross the big highway, which like just like seemed like a lot. But Patterson, the Commons, and I don't remember the other one.
Patterson, Commons, like all Chatham, and
Chatham.
Vista. Where the girls stayed, Gray.
I know. Okay, but Patterson, Commons, and Chatham were all like right next to each other. Like we like in walking distance. Like I would go on a run and like pass all 3 of them. I would not run to Vista. I know people that did. AJ was one of them. He would
AJ
run.
AJ and I ran a couple times to Chatham and back.
Yeah, I would not. I had never crossed the highway.
Yeah.
We'll see why as much as you guys. So.
Why it felt, not to go down too much of a rabbit hole, but the reason why it did feel so long to go to Vista is, going from Vista to the 3 other houses, or the other complexes, I should say. Yeah. You could cross the street. Next thing you know, you can just take a right into that little, let's just say suburb. But leaving those three complexes to go to Vista, you had to exit out, go to the right underneath the highway bridge of I-4, and then you had to bang a Yui at the light and then go. So
Yeah.
it wasn't necessarily that it was super far. It just took like, I feel like near 10 minutes on average, just because of so much traffic on Lake Buena Vista.
You could almost walk or run there faster than you could drive just because of the way that like the roads and traffic are set up. But like that, I mean, that was just annoying, but like it is what it is.
Yeah. And then like
we
with
we did it.
Yeah, we did it. But with like my welcome party, it was super fun. And I immediately, like, I was super shy. I really was. Like before the DCP, I was pretty shy. I was a loner. I didn't talk to a whole lot of people in college. Always had the headphones in. I was always focused. Just like went through some stuff a couple years before, just never really got out of the funk. DCP got me out of the funk, which I thank the DCP for almost every day. But, like that's where I met AJ and then Marco, Isaac, even though he doesn't really exist with us anymore. And then JC and, like all my roommates, we had fun. I met Melanie and Leonella, and I just immediately had this like sense of we're going to be friends, like this, and I still talk to him to this day, except for Isaac. I wish it worked out, but it just sadly didn't. Not calling him out, but you know what I mean? But yeah, so like with that welcome party, I ended up having a DD. Like not that same welcome party. I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and skip to your welcome party, Gray. Now I'm talking about
my welcome party.
Yeah, the Gray's welcome party. But yeah, you said it took place at Commons, right?
I was wrong. It's not Commons. It was Chatham.
Was it Chatham?
The name of
okay,
Chatham,
I was about to say, I felt like
Commons.
every welcome party was at Chatham.
Yeah. Everything was at Chatham. It was like the big area that was open and where they had the clubhouse and like all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah, I liked Chatham.
Everything was at Chatham. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, AJ and Isaac decided to get a little too litty, and I didn't feel like drinking. I'm not a huge drinker. So I was like, you know what? You guys have fun. I'll DD. I want to make sure everybody's going to be safe. But it also just kind of irritated me too, because they're like, yeah, like DCP, like let's go find some cute girls and talk to some cute girls. And I already was just like I kind of want to figure out the friend group dynamic first before we go start talking to girls, So I kind of a little irritated. And then they also just got, like I said, too litty. So I was just kind of like an irritated mood. So we showed up and I'm already just like sitting at a table while they're like going and talking and everything. And I regret it now because I could have met the girls sooner, because I didn't really talk to that. I didn't talk to our friend group, not that friend group. And it's our friend group now. I missed out on like a whole month and a half almost.
Yeah.
Of you guys.
Of trash.
Sorry. I regret it. I really do. Piece of trash. But yeah, so I just remember like sitting at the table and then like I just see it was really weird, like the sea of people. I say sea of people, there's like what, 200 people. But it's like there's an opening and AJ's like, come on, Jeff, come on. So I get up and I walk over there and I'm just like, what? And I see AJ talking to these three girls, and and Isaac's dancing. You know how Isaac was. Yeah, ladies.
Isaac was dancing crazy that night. He really was getting it.
I'm not gonna lie, he's a good dancer. But but anyway, that's the first time I ever met the three girls. And I probably came off as such a not probably. I did come off as a butthole, but I just remember like AJ talking to him. I was like, really, dude, like, can we not like friend dynamic, dude? Like, come on, I can't be your wingman if I don't know you. And I just remember like introducing myself. I got a tickle in my throat. I remember introducing myself, and probably not in the most polite way either. Like, I really regret how I acted. And I just immediately went back and sat at the table. And I regret that night. It wasn't the greatest welcome party. And Gray, I remember meeting up with you, but I just remember sitting at the table the whole time. I really do.
Honestly,
I didn't do anything exciting.
I probably hung out with like you and your roommates for a very short period of time, because that welcome party, I remember meeting up with like AJ and being introduced to the girls, and then like that was it, because I don't know, I just felt really weird, and so I went and hung out just like by myself and like was on the dance floor chilling. I met a friend of mine named Casey, who she's really cool. We didn't really hang out other than that, but like we talk now after our program, which is interesting. We keep up on Snapchat, and I
So say
talked to this
I have a few friends
girl.
like that now. I really do.
Yeah.
It is weird.
There was another girl I met named Grace, I think is her name. Still friends with her on Snapchat, see her stories all the time. But I don't really talk to her. And then I think I hung out with my friend Alex, who I met on the Facebook page before actually going to Florida. We met on the Facebook page for the college program, and then we like hung out that night. But like I didn't really hang out with you guys that much, just because I think it was like a different dynamic, and my goal was like to meet people that I could hang out with other than AJ. Basically AJ was somebody I knew, which was like great, and like obviously I wanted to hang out with him, he's my friend, but I was like also trying to make other friends on my own. And so I just like went around and met some other people, and so I didn't hang out with you guys that much that night. But I will say one of my favorite parts of that night was meeting Chip and Dale and Mickey and Minnie. That was my first time.
I never met the
Uh,
characters at the welcome parties.
are you kidding me? That was the best time to meet them.
I only talked to Mickey and Minnie when I graduated. Sorry.
It was like a safari thing, and like they're like, yeah, Chip and Dale are here. Oh wait, it wasn't even Mickey and Minnie that were there. It was Chip and Dale and Donald and Daisy, because they were dressed up in like the same outfits that they wear at the Tusker House in Animal Kingdom.
Okay.
But yeah, Chip and Dale were dressed up as like the Rescue Rangers. Met them. Um, and then, but like those two pictures are some of my favorite pictures of the whole program. Just me and like the characters, which I think is really cool.
Really?
Yeah, they're like fun. It's like I don't know. It's so meeting characters I think is so fun, but I only ever did it by myself because I felt like when I was with people, I was wasting their time because they're like, "This is you're a child." But I wanted to meet the characters. Like that's like an exciting thing for me was meeting the characters, and so um I would do that when I was by myself. So like the welcome party, I knew that there'd be characters there, and so I made it like a part of my time to go and hang out with them and meet them and take pictures.
Yeah. Great. If we would have gone to the parks together more, other than like what was like 2 days, maybe 2 park days that we had together. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
just the
two
two of
park
us.
days,
Yeah,
believe it or not.
we
Like,
only had two park
holy
days.
crap.
Yeah,
Yeah. Cause it was me, you and AJ for one day. And then it was me and you when we rode the people mover like 100 times. But
yeah.
I
Well,
would
we
have
also did.
definitely went and saw some
Yeah,
characters
I
with
mean,
you. That was one of my
I just
favorite
like
parts.
didn't. Yeah, I just didn't do it much because I just felt like it was like weird. So I only did it when I was by myself. But yeah, like the welcome party was fun. I remember screaming High School Musical at the top of my lungs. Big fan of that movie. Have been for a long time.
You do see,
Shame-
you scream some High School Musical. I am a
shameless
witness.
plug. Yeah, it's a fantastic movie series. But I did that, and then well, went back to my apartment. Not much happened that night for me.
Yeah. I was gonna say the welcome party is just
Um,
great to meet new people. Granted, I didn't take
yeah,
advantage of it the second welcome party I went to, but like the first welcome
I
party was
think
great
I
for
think
me.
that's something that's definitely like advice for people that might be doing this in the future is like go to all of the welcome parties. Don't just go to yours. Like go to all of them. Meet new people that are just coming in. Take some of your coworkers, like hang out with them. Like obviously hang out with your friends that you've made and like keep your friends. But go and meet new people. Invite new people into your friend group. Meet people from
Yep.
like other countries internationally around the world. Like I had great friends that live in New Zealand. Now from the DCP, I have friends that live in South America now. Like just like so many cool people that you can meet, even if it's just meeting one time. You can talk about cultures and things like that, which is
Which is
so
so fun.
important.
It's really fun
Yeah.
too. Yeah. But yeah, because I remember Marco introducing me to Leonella and Melanie. They were in the apartment the very first day, because they were all from the same city, Tegucigalpa,
Mhm.
Honduras. So it's like, how does this guy
Yeah.
already know two girls? Like, am I about to be roommate with a player? Because I don't want to deal with, the traffic or whatever we want to call it. Sounds terrible.
Hey, Marco was a player. Let's just say it.
He was,
Like
yeah. Shout
always
out
killing
Marco.
it.
But anyway, they ended up being his one of the, or not one of them. They both ended up being his really good friends, and all three of them, they all went to college together and everything. They did the program with each other, so it was really cool. They were automatically three friends. I became friends with them as well. But I remember really, really like, I got to dance with them. I got to talk with them, eat pizza, drink Cokes, sodas, all that stuff at the welcome party. And I was like, wow, like these people are really cool. Already started talking about like culture and everything. The very first welcome party. So if you get to
Yeah.
do that every welcome party, and the more people you meet, the merrier as well. Because I mean, you're
And-
not always going to stick with the same people. I remember, there's probably like
Right.
4 or 5 groups that I kind of went through.
Yeah, I
Sounds-
think I probably had at least three groups, because I had like my coworkers and I had you guys and like a couple of other friends.
Uh-huh.
My roommate John hung out with. So just like a few like different, but yeah, like you get in different groups and you do different things. So like it makes sense. Also, another thing about the welcome parties, you should go because there's free food. So that's a
Very true.
plus.
Very true. Yeah, I think all you have to do is just show your housing ID, even though that doesn't matter
Yep.
now because it's all at one complex. But for us,
You're
you have
all
to
at
show your
familiar
housing
crossing.
ID, and then
Yeah,
you got some pepperoni pizza, baby.
that's right. Yep.
But
Yeah, you showed your housing ID to get anything.
yeah, and then I mean, yeah, that's basically it with the welcome parties. I think we
Mhm.
should talk a little bit more about like traditions and the Disney University.
Yeah.
classes.
So after the welcome party for me was on Wednesday. And then my traditions class was all day Friday, which traditions, just like a little bit of background. Traditions is the first class that you take as like a training cast member, first day cast member, is basically traditions. That's what you do. You go through and they're teaching you the 4 keys. They're teaching you the different elements of Disney, like the important things, what to do, what not to do, what different like codes might mean, and that sort of stuff. And then you get your name tag and you get your ID, your like company ID, not your housing ID, your company ID.
Which is so cool. So cool.
Yeah,
You
it is
basically have to
really
go
cool.
through the whole 6-hour course, and then it's like exciting at the very end. But
Yeah, and I don't want to give away any secrets of like how the very ending is, but you do receive like a couple of gifts during that. Like it's so like you receive a couple of gifts and a big box on your table, and you meet a lot of people. I didn't even know this until later. So Miranda, which is one of the girls we hang out with all the time, that we're really good friends with now, was actually in my traditions class. And we didn't sit at the same table because I have a picture of me and all the people that I sat with at the table, and I don't know any of them. I don't know who any of them are.
isn't that weird how that works though?
It is so weird. But Miranda said she was in my class because she remembered me because I was the person talking the whole time, which like, are we surprised?
No, not at all.
Absolutely not. But yeah, and like it was just traditions was exciting. You dress professionally. One of like the only times you actually wear your own clothes when you're going to things when you're at Disney University.
Very true.
And you're dressing professionally. I got some great pictures outside of Disney University. That's also, so traditions is also the day like you get your name tag and everyone's like taking cute pictures in front of Disney University and the big sign.
Yeah, with your ears and name tag.
Yes. And then at the very end, you get your pass to go to the parks.
Which I will unless I don't know if all traditions classes are at the same time, but I will mention something that I wish I would have done a little bit differently. I still would have taken the pictures at the same time after the class with my name tag and my ears on, of course. But also take pictures in front of the Disney University sign before the class even starts. Because the sun is not in your eyes at that time. You get out of traditions at like 1 or 2, and you're just like a lot of your pictures are like this right here. Like I know people can't see me if they're listening on Spotify and Apple, but
yeah,
you're just like, yeah, take a picture.
You're like covering your face. You can't. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like,
but I think
say 3 really loud. That
I
way
think
I can
it
move my
like
hand.
definitely take pictures. Yeah, definitely take pictures when you're there. But like in the morning. But I do think that it's different times because my pictures after turned out great. Like there's no shadows, and mine was later because I went like straight back to my apartment, changed clothes, and went straight to the parks, and it was dark by the time I got to the parks. Which like honestly, after traditions, getting back to my apartment, changing clothes, and then getting to the parks was probably a good 45 minutes to an hour.
was about to say Florida traffic hits
like just
different.
because of traffic and like all that kind of stuff. Like it probably took some time, but
See,
yeah.
and I had to let my
'Cause I-
sister borrow my truck the first 2 weeks that I was there, right? Because she moved off of like Disney property and into a house, and then my
Yeah.
dad drove her car down for her birthday weekend. Just like not surprise her because she knew about it, but just like as like a hey,
Yeah.
like here you go kind of thing. But so I had to use Disney transportation during all my Disney courses,
which
and
was probably even worse
it sucked.
because you had to sit there and wait for the bus.
But it was nice though, because it kind of felt like it put me in a whole new world, no pun intended. But don't get us monetized or demonetized.
Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, like riding the buses and everything. Like never had to do public transportation, even though it wasn't public transportation, but it felt like it. It was public transportation for us
Only for
college.
CP housing, like
Yeah, this is CP housing transportation. Can you like step off? But
Yeah.
but yeah, the traditions was the best. I really liked that.
Um,
On with the show was close second, but we're not there yet. We haven't talked about that yet.
Traditions was like a good, solid intro to Disney and all things Disney, like working there and just like how the parks work and that sort of thing. And then I remember right after Traditions, like when Change Clones went to the parks, and I went to Magic Kingdom because I wanted to see the fireworks
Wait,
show.
Gray, hold on. For traditions, what was his name? Andy, the guy that like the video that they showed for like teaching us how to properly lift.
Was it Andy
What
or
was his
it
name?
Daniel?
I want to say it's like Pick It Up Andy or something like that.
Andy, it
like,
might have been Andy.
some
I have
real nice
I-
pleated khaki
Yeah.
pants with a nice like 3-button collared shirt. And like I know people can't see me, but I'm a huge visual guy. So like look on YouTube if you want to look back. But he's like,
I know exactly what you're talking about. So there's a guy. He looks like he's in like Jake from State Farm. Like he's wearing like a red polo and like khaki
yeah.
pants. I have a picture. Those Valentine's Day cards that people like post online. There's one of him. I don't know his name. It's either Andy or Daniel.
Yes.
I don't know.
That went
Whatever.
around for a
But
while.
it says I want to. It says I want to
dying.
hold you. It says I want to hold you in my green zone, which is like that's like that could sound inappropriate. That's not like. So like there's the green and like the red zone, right?
You had
and
to
red
be there.
is like when you're the green, yeah. The red zone is when you're like stretching too much to like put a box on a high shelf, or like you need a ladder, really. Like you don't actually need a ladder, but like you should get a ladder for safety. And so holding something in your green zone is like in front of you and like safe, basically. I don't know, but I just thought it was funny because like just
it's a
like
perfect.
only cast members are gonna get that, but like I died.
It's great. I remember going around on
Yeah.
my extension on my program, and I was like, this is corny, but this is smooth at the same time.
Right.
Like, of course, it was never gonna work, but it was funny. It was a great
Yeah.
icebreaker because, like, look how
Yes.
corny this is.
And like
But-
everyone has seen this video is probably made in like the 1980s. Like it's so
felt like
old.
it.
It's so like it might have been their opening day in 1971. Like this video is so old. But like
It's very outdated.
such
I
a
think
good-
honestly, I think it was
yeah.
like late 90s, early 2000s.
I mean,
It had that
possibly.
VHS, very staticky looking picture.
Yeah, it was like they had to rewind it to play it for us.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
that just popped in my head. Like, I don't remember exactly what his name was. And as soon as you said Green Zone, I was like, whoa.
That's what it is. There's like the green and the
But
red.
I want to
zone.
say his name was Andy. I'll
go with Andy.
But
Well, I'm sure we're gonna talk about him again later, and hopefully we'll have the name of him.
thank you for the
Anyway.
sweet Valentine's cards, Andy.
After Traditions, I left Change Clothes and went to Magic Kingdom because I wanted to see the fireworks. So AJ was there with Kylie, Miranda, and Lauren, and also my friend Megan from home was there, and I met up with her for the fireworks, and then I met up with AJ after. But we watched the fireworks show, and I was like, coming to tears. Maybe not tears the first time I watched it, but like here we are. Fantastic show. Love Happily Ever After. Bring it back. And then I was texting AJ and I was like, hey, like, where can I meet you? He was like, meet me at Space Mountain. So I'm like running to Space Mountain and Megan was coming with me. And Megan's like, it's a 5-minute wait for Winnie the Pooh. And everyone wants to play Winnie the Pooh.
Right.
And I was like, okay, but I need to go to Space Mountain. And she's like, look, it's a 5-minute wait, like it's a walk-on ride. You need to go now. So because like if you don't ride it now, you'll never ride it. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever. That was the only time I rode Winnie the Pooh on my entire college program.
Yep. Winnie the Pooh is
Which
for
like
kids. It's okay.
Which like
It's a kid
I
ride.
mean, it's like an okay ride. Like you go into Tigger's room and you're like, ho, 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 ho. Like you're like, jumping up and down and whatever. Like it's cute, but it's not a ride that you want to do all the billions of times over and over
No.
again. So
It's a good AC break is what I like to call it.
yeah. But then AJ got mad at me because he was like waiting for me at Space Mountain forever. And then they like I was like, just go ahead and get in line, like I'll catch up, whatever. And then I cut the line like halfway through the line.
Oh,
I went up to the cast member at the front and I was like, hey, my friends are in line, can I go catch up with them? And they're like, yeah. So
you were one of those. Hey,
I walked up the fast pass line and joined I joined AJ and Lauren first because they were like waiting for me to get there, and I was like, just go ahead and get in line, like it's fine.
Yeah.
And then Kylie and Miranda and maybe Isaac we like ran into at the merge point in the queue line. But then after that the park was closed, so that was all I did that first night. But I was like so happy to be.
It's a good night though. That's a good night.
Yeah.
I want to say that I went to Hollywood Studios on that day. I think. Could be wrong.
You went to your work location the first night?
Yeah, because I wanted to study it and actually like really get to know it. I know that sounds really nerdy, and it does not sound like Jeff French at all for people that know me.
Absolutely gross.
But I really took it serious. Like I was to the point where I was like, oh man, like I'm at the front of the park. I was like, people are going to be asking me directions, and it's like on all my past vacations, I'm like, like I thought that this was this way, and I thought this was over here. And I was actually like studying maps and everything when I got there. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to walk around, take it all in, soak it all in. Okay, this is over here. That's over there. But you betcha when I was at Crossroads and Oscars, they asked for anything. I just pointed and I gave them detail after detail on how to get there. Not always. I'm exaggerating, but at the very end,
I don't know that
at the very beginning, I got.
Do you remember that? Do you remember that night that you were working at Crossroads and I was bored? So I just like stood at Crossroads with you like for like an hour.
Yeah, we just chatted. I mean, that sounds terrible.
I
was doing my job, guys.
Like every time. Yeah, no, he was working. Every time someone else came up, he would stop talking to me and go help someone else. So don't worry, like, he did a great job.
Ray, shut up.
Yeah, that's exactly. He put his 2 Disney point fingers in my face and said, sorry, sir, I need to go help someone else. And then he came back. But I just remember you giving out so many directions. Like people, where's Toy Story Land? Where's Star Tours? Where's the Hollywood Tower of Terror? Like, and what I don't understand is they didn't even take time to like look. Like they just walked in the park and all of a sudden they're asking questions. Like, where's the castle? Like, sorry, babe, that's not here. But
well, a lot of them were asking. It just kind of depended on the time of day. I very rarely got questions about Harry Potter World. I don't know, maybe because of Hollywood Studios and Universal Studios, I got it confused. I don't know. But towards the end of the day, they were always asking about the shows, especially Fantasmic. Like, when does it open? Where is it exactly at? Because you kind of can walk past it. I can understand how you can walk past it, but I was about to say, like, in the very beginning, I would always just kind of like point and tell them, like, oh, this way, this way, this way, blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. But towards the end, I just grab a map and a Sharpie. Out almost just like X marks the spot.
yeah. Which like probably both is good for different people. Like the map was probably super helpful for some people, and then for others it was like just point me in the right direction and I'll find it. Mm-hmm. So like that makes sense. I don't know. I know people say they get a lot of questions about it all the time, and maybe it's like if you're a Magic Kingdom or something like that. I did not hear a bunch of questions about Harry Potter, but when I worked at the Disney store, after my college program, this was like later, I worked at the Disney store near where I live, and so many people, especially around the holidays, came in and was like, hey, do you guys have Harry Potter stuff? And you're like, no, that's not Disney. Like a lot of people did that.
which is surprising.
And it baffles me, honestly. Like I don't get it. But
Hmm.
maybe it's because Harry Potter has a castle and everyone like thinks of castle and they're like, oh, Disney. Or maybe people just think that like all movies are made by Disney. I don't know. But
When they're not far from that. But
it's true.
But yeah, I didn't mean to get in such a rabbit hole, especially with like crossroads and directions and everything. But when it comes to On with the Show, I really want to talk about On with the Show. But it just dawned on
Which
me.
is what? Explain that.
Okay, so
What
one
is On
second.
with
Let
the
me
Show?
backtrack a little bit. I'm sorry. So I want to talk about one Disney course that I remember at Disney University, because I kind of felt like we just like kind of skipped over that. There are more
We
courses.
did.
It's like traditions and like what, 3 or 4 courses,
You
classes,
take courses like how to use your 2-finger point instead of 1 finger. How to like for me, I worked in resorts, so I had to know like what a moderate resort was, what a deluxe resort was, what a value resort was. Like I had to know all that information. And so you take those types of classes based on what your role is.
Yeah. See, and like the one class that I remember the most, as of right now at least, was the merchandise like cash register class. And I was irritated, but I also understood why they had to do it, because I mean, I'm decent at counting money. I know my own currency. If I went to another country, I would have trouble with their currency. I'm not going to be, like
Yeah.
that ignorant.
Yeah.
But I would have much rather have just, instead of the way that they explained it, I think it just took too long. And I think it almost confused more internationals and more foreigners than anything, instead of, oh, hey, team up with a United States person or a United States citizen, whatever you want to call us, and they'll talk you through it, like with the register itself. Because after they talked about USD currency, then we had to actually move over to registers, right? And then we'd have to, there was like a pamphlet, or like, I don't even exactly, like laminated sheets on like a ring, like it was almost like you're studying for a test. There's different things that you had to ring up on the computer. Then they had like Monopoly money in there. And it was it was very awkward for me. It really was. Because here I am having to act out. I'm not a professional paid actor. I don't know if you did know that. But I'm not a paid actor. So I'm having to act this out. Like I remember I'm just like, oh, I'll take this jacket, t-shirt. And shout out to Wes. I don't know if he's listening to this or not. I actually worked with him in the same location, but he was my partner. And we had to go back and forth. And I felt like we had to do that for like 5 days, even though it's probably like 30 minutes. But we just had to go back and forth over and over and over. It's like, oh, I bought this magic band, blah, blah, blah. And you just had to swipe a credit card or like do cash. And I remember that. And looking back at it, I'm like, that was pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. Because I've never worked for a company ever where they taught you to work a register like that. If anything, they're just like, you don't know how to work a register, like you're stupid. Like it was nice that Disney took the time and understood that not everybody's worked retail or, like the food and beverage industry.
Honestly, though, it's so interesting that you had a class with like Monopoly money and like physically did stuff like that. So working in quick service, I worked at a register. I worked at a register multiple times.
And you didn't have that.
And I didn't have that. So
wow.
I had a training session that like was money, and you had like click the dime, click the nickel, but it was online. It was on the computer. We were at the boardwalk. We went into the like little training room, and everyone was at the computer for 30 minutes, and we clicked on it, and that was it. And I had friends from other countries who had been at Disney for like 3 or 4 months longer than me and still didn't know the currency. And so like me just starting, I was on the register a lot more often than they were, just because I was faster at it because they already knew how to count the money. It was like boom, boom, boom. And they got confused a lot because where they're from, like whatever their equivalent to like a dime is weighs the same as like a nickel. And so they would give a nickel for a dime or like vice versa. And so money would always get kind of like mixed. It wasn't like a ton of money, but like money could sometimes get mixed up in that way. Yeah. But like, no, not really any blame to them, but like they're international. They don't know what our currency is. And so growing up in the United States, like I know what US dollars and coins look like. And
I
so I
hope.
was put on register, like, yeah, I was put on register a lot quicker and a lot more often than those people were.
Yeah. Now that I'm thinking of it, you said that you would have to tap the touchscreen. I'm like, I could have swore we used Monopoly money or like fake currency for it. I could be wrong, but I also do remember hitting
Mine
on the
was
screen too.
literally on a computer, and we just like clicked,
Mhm.
whatever this was. And like it gave you examples like this person gave you $20 and their meal was $7.43 or whatever. Give them the correct change. You'd have to like click on the whatever they needed.
Yeah.
But it was all online, and it was very short. It was like 30 minutes. And well, I will say for me it was like 30 minutes. Other people took longer because they would get it wrong because they didn't know the currency. But
Okay, so you were food and beverage. So you had to do the
yes,
alcohol beverage test, right?
I did. Yeah, I
Great.
did.
I had to take that with a migraine headache, right? I failed it. I felt so
Wait,
stupid
why did you have to take it? When were you selling alcohol?
because our park sold alcohol, right? I never sold alcohol,
Yeah.
but I worked in a park that sold alcohol, so I had to take the test because I had to.
Oh, weird.
It was basically not for like selling it, but it was more so kind of like, all right, what does intoxication look like? What are the
Yeah,
signs and all that stuff?
the safety of
But I had a throbbing, like the one of the worst migraines ever because like
Mm-hmm,
I always get a migraine after like the first day of school, first day of work, like
mm-hmm.
anything new, I always get like a migraine. Nowadays, I just
Yeah.
take, 4 Advil in the morning, 4 at night, and it usually just takes care of it. Advil did not work on me this time, but I failed it. I felt so dumb. I ended up having to like retake it, but I didn't even care. Like I took the test, it said failed, and I was like, I don't care. I need a cold rag on my forehead and I need a bed. Like I was like, get me out of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
forgot about
definitely
that
had to take
test
that
too.
because I worked in like a couple bars, and we sold alcohol in the bakery after lunch or after breakfast. So yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
A lot of my training was done online in a computer at the boardwalk, just sitting in the back room
Oh, really? See, like all of
doing
my
it. Yeah.
training, well, I take that back. All of the Disney University training was at Disney University. There's like 4 or 5 courses.
Well, okay, so we had DU courses, but then we like moved to the boardwalk and had like boardwalk 101, which first of all, quick shout out to my girl Felicia. Let me just tell you. So I went um I had my very first day at the boardwalk. I like brought my lunch in a lunchbox because I was like so, good. And I like it was lunchtime and I put in my lunchbox and I was opening it, and this girl Felicia, she was like the instructor or whatever. And she worked at the front desk. And she looked at me and she was like, "Are you from North Carolina?" And I was like, "Yes."
Maybe.
I was like, and she was like, "And you went to Campbell University?" And I was like, "How do you know
Go
this?"
go camels.
Like go camels, roll humps, but like that's the smallest university in the entire state. Like it's not, but like how do you know this tiny private use university? And she was like, "Oh yeah, I went there." And I was like, "What? Like what a
Did we just become
small
best
world." Like
friends?
like my school is so small. Like how did you? I don't know. It was just funny. Like we met at Disney World. Anyway, still friends on Facebook. We like keep up. It's great. But she like recognized me and like immediately I knew I was at home. I like knew that's what it was. But I think that was the only class that I had in person was like that day. And then from there, everything was either on the job or like in a room on the computer.
Yeah, which it's funny. I never knew Felicia existed. Not the fact that like you never talked about her. I'm
Shout out
not saying that
Felicia.
you never talked to her, but I actually had a guy in my work location, and I'm not trying to one up you by any means, but his name tag literally said Midwestern State University, and he saw mine first, and he was like Midwestern State
Yeah.
University, and I was like maybe thinking his dad or his mom or somebody that he knows went there. Like whatever, like nobody from
Yeah.
MSU is going
Yeah.
here like I am. I'm the only one. But
Yeah.
he's like Midwestern State, like in Texas, like Wichita Falls, Texas. And I was like, whoa. I was like, what? And the crazy thing is I'm a graphic design major. So I went into the Fane art department. He's a theater major. So we were in the same building, never met him, never seen him.
Wow.
anything like that. But I didn't get to talk to him a whole lot. Hopefully I'm not wrong. I believe his name was Ian, but barely worked with him because he always worked on Hollywood Boulevard and I always worked at Oscars, at least up
Yeah.
until my extension. But that's funny that we both like had somebody from the same like university,
It's just so like it's
small
such
universities, but in
yeah.
that matter.
Like Disney's such a big place, but also at the same time such a small place. Like you run into so many people.
Oh, absolutely.
There's so many people I'd run into all the time, which is crazy.
Mhm.
So yeah.
All right. I need to talk about On with the Show, and you need to talk about Boardwalk
Yeah,
101.
get it.
Yeah.
Go for
Because
it.
On with the Show was great. Although it did rain on us. That was upsetting. But we did get to do something pretty cool when it rained. However, so we got there like I think I had to be on the bus at like 7:30 in the morning. That was miserable. Yeah. Got to Hollywood Studios. I think it started at 9 o'clock in the morning. However, they took two full. They were either part timers or full timers. I know that they weren't CPs or anything like that. I don't know if they were trainers in their locations. I don't know if they were relief coordinators or actual coordinators in their group or whatever. I want to say that they wore coordinator suits, not suits. Sorry, coordinator costumes for On with the Show during our time. Don't remember their names, but it was awesome. They did a great job. Broke us into two groups and everything like that. And basically, On with the Show for us was we went to Hollywood Studios and we basically walked around the park. We learned history of the park. We kind of learned like little tips and tricks, little backstage ways, and all this stuff. And like little hidden gems, I guess you could call them. Like it's like, hey, like look at that. That's why that's called that. This is why this is this. And it was really cool because of course, I loved Disney before the college program, and I felt like I knew a lot of information. Apparently, not apparently. I'm always using the wrong words, man.
Really?
Apparently, I've never been on a podcast before. But no. And like all my past vacations and stuff, I've just over the years just became more of a fan of Disney, and I just accumulate all this knowledge. And then everybody in my hometown's like, Jeff's a Disney freak, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know that much about Disney, but you guys think I do because you guys just don't care like I do. But I learned so much that day as well. And, we started at the front of the park by Sid's Antiques and Curios, and then like my work location, and that was cool. And then just like slowly just walked through like the park and just like talked and learned. And it was just very cool because it was like, this is my home now. But then it started raining on us when we were in Grand Avenue. So it's not the best show in the world. I would much rather have, like watched Festival of the Lion King or something. But
yes.
We got to step in, even though we were soaking wet, we got to watch the Muppets 3D Muppets or Muppets 3D Vision or whatever it's called. I don't even know. Not a huge fan of it, so I don't really care.
Muppet Vision 3D, yeah.
Muppet Vision 3D, there we go. But yeah, so that was pretty cool. And then I got to talk with some people in my classes. I don't remember who they were anymore because they didn't work my location. But I remember seeing them. Like one of the coolest things was like I talked to them and then I got to like know where they were working, like what they were doing. And we thought we were all so cool back then because like, oh, we're doing this. Oh, I'm doing this. It's like, oh, it's so cool. Like we're so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think the coolest part about all that was probably a quarter of that class was at my location. The other amount of people just worked around the same park, but like there's so many people that work in the parks. So there were some people that'd be like, what happened to them? Like, I just have random thoughts like while I was waiting to help a guest or like waiting to, have somebody rent a wheelchair, whatever the situation was. And I was like, whatever happened to them? And then it's like 2 or 3 days go by and it's like, I'll like see her like pushing like like an ice cart down Hollywood Boulevard. And I'm like, that.
Yeah.
I was just like, I just thought about her like 72 hours ago. Like, that's so crazy.
Yep.
And like, she looks like she has a blast. Like she has a smile on her face. She's talking to guests, like, and that was a good feeling because I was like, I don't remember your name, but you look like you're having fun, just like me. But
that happened to me the same with the boardwalk. But the boardwalk was a little bit smaller than Hollywood Studios as a park. So we had less people working. But like there were people that were in my like beginning boardwalk class that were like children activities or lifeguards or like whatever. And I would see them randomly. They probably have no idea who I am, but I was like,
But
oh,
you remembered them.
like I'm glad it looks like your life is like doing good. Like I'm glad your life is going well.
Yeah.
It's like so weird that like in general like people think about that, but that like that's just it. It
I
was one of
like to
those
look
things,
at
like
people like
I'm
that
so
though.
glad. Yeah. Oh yeah. But like it was cool to see them around the boardwalk and be like, oh yeah, I'm also a cast member and I'm also like I don't know, that's just like a cool thing. But my beginning boardwalk class was the same as you're on with the show. It was just probably shorter and less exciting because it was at the boardwalk. But one of my favorite things that I still remember to this day from that was Felicia was telling us all about
Shout out
um
Felicia.
the like show and efficiency of like the two keys that like we were focusing on. She went through all the keys and was like, find something that does this, find something that does this. And she was like, I want you to find something that does show and efficiency. Like nobody could find it. Like it didn't make any sense. She was like, oh yeah, you probably missed it. So on the boardwalk, all the trash cans are green. They're like dark green and they say boardwalk on them, whatever. But the one trash can right outside of the pizza window is just a little bit wider than all the other trash cans because it's wide enough for a pizza box. But like just
Fun
walking
fact.
past it, you like wouldn't realize that it's there. But it's just that one trash can. That one trash can is wider than all the other ones. And like if you look at it, you can tell. But if you don't know, you just walk past it. And I just
But see,
think
why would they
that's like
why
the
would they
coolest
make
thing.
only that one trash can though? Like I know I get it. Just like that one trash can in front of the pizzeria, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's like, why not go ahead and just make all of them just one standard size? Like for any like pizza box or like
No, okay. No, but like this trash can like is like obnoxiously large. Like you look at it and you're like, that's the Big Bertha trash can.
that's a trash can.
Like it's like really wide in comparison to the other ones. Like if you look at it,
Okay.
you're like, oh,
Okay.
what the
That
heck?
makes
Like
sense. Okay.
it looks weird standing out. And even if every trash can was that wide, it would still look weird. Um,
Okay.
and so
Because as
I
right
don't think
now,
it's necessary.
I was just picturing like like the Disney standard trash cans, and I know that sounds
Yeah,
funny to some people
which
that
is
aren't
what.
familiar with Disney, but
Yeah.
like we're talking about trash cans, we're getting excited
Yeah.
about trash cans. But like the two-sided swinging door, like I
Yeah.
thought you were talking about those, but just like a little bit wider. It's like why don't they
That's
just make
exactly
them
what it
all a
was.
little?
No,
Okay.
that's exactly what it was. That's
Okay.
exactly it. Yep. Standard Disney trash can, just like wider.
The Big Bertha of trash can.
That's what it looked. Okay, whatever. That's what it looks like. It's fine.
I'm gonna have to look on my next trip.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna
Um,
Snapchat you and be like, Big Bertha, bro, she's still here.
Big Bertha. There's the Big Bertha trash can right
Shout
now.
out at Gray.
You'll be telling everyone like, oh, look at that trash can. It's wider than the other ones.
Guys, that trash can is thick. 2 C's. You know why? Because that's Big
Oh
Bertha.
my goodness. Well, after that, I got into my normal training and on the job. And so I think that wraps up my first week or a couple of weeks at Disney.
I was about to say, like, technically, I guess, like, when we talk about the first week, we can't really talk about the first week because it's a bunch of like, so what'd you buy at Walgreens?
I sat in my apartment and watched TV. It was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. What'd you buy at Walgreens? You got a shower curtain?
Yeah.
Cool. Could have
Yeah.
used one of
Ooh,
those.
yeah.
But yeah, I guess technically, I guess it would cover over a 2-week period. But I the first week isn't even really like part of the program, in my opinion. Like the program does not start until the classes, like traditions and
Until you become a cast member at Traditions.
you get
Yeah,
that name tag, it starts.
that's true. Yep. Amen.
So, and you even like future podcast episodes, but like you have cast connections after that. I know you went there all the time.
What a good time. I can't wait till we talk about cast connections.
Cast
Ooh,
connections.
Good time. Well, Jeff, I think that's a good place to end it right there. I am so glad we talked about this. And for anyone listening, I hope this helps as a glimpse into what the Disney College program might look like for you. I know things have changed since we've been, but it's it's something that you might like, you might enjoy. It could be fun.
Let's say hopefully we're not scaring anybody off with what we're talking about, because the Disney College program is a life changer in a good way.
Yeah, do it, people. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
But
follow us on Instagram at the Goofy Scoop, and find us on YouTube at Jeffrey French, and find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and a few other places where you can find podcasts. And thanks for listening.
Yeah, I want to definitely talk about the Disney College program way more. So good episode. Now, Greg, get out.
Bye.
Bye.